Why do we need to build the Energy East pipeline? It's because pipelines are the right way to move oil. And at this point, it's customary to say something about the fact that we need oil. We use it to heat our homes, to move our vehicles, our cars, and our trucks, to power our economy. But in a curious way, that's beside the point. There are people out there who think we must stop using oil. They say they're in a panic over man-made climate change, global warming, global whatever it's meant to be, hurricanes are blowing. And they say we have to adopt alternative energy sources. But that has nothing to do with pipelines, for the simple reason that if they ever do come up with workable alternative energy, if they can make solar work, if they can make windmills sufficiently effective, hydropower, if they get over their paranoia about nuclear power, which doesn't give off greenhouse gases in any significant amount, then no one's going to want to build pipelines. The argument here about pipelines is this: we are using oil, we are dependent on oil, and so we need to figure out how are we going to move it around, not whether. If we have no oil to move around, no one's going to suggest building a pipeline. That would be fatuous. Right now, though, the choice is we move oil by pipeline, we move it by rail, or we move it by ship. And it's pretty clear why we should not be moving oil by rail. First of all, it's worse for the environment. Rail cars leak more than pipelines. Modern pipelines are actually extremely clean. Secondly, trains burn more fossil fuels, directly or indirectly in generating electricity, to move the oil around than pipelines do. So that's lose-lose. And they're also less safe. You have the possibility of derailments, which are bad for the environment and can be catastrophic if they happen in an inhabited area. What's more, we need the trains for other things like moving grain. It's just not rational to move oil, but to move it by train and say, oh, I'm doing something for the environment. And then there's the question of ships. Now, in fact, moving oil by tanker is fine, provided that it's done in jurisdictions that have strong environmental rules and enforce them, where the rule of law exists also. But the trouble is far too much oil that comes from overseas comes from places that aren't like that. So that's bad for the environment. What's more, they come from regimes with malevolent purposes, deeply hostile to the West. Why would we want to send billions of dollars to the government of Venezuela or even that of Saudi Arabia when we could produce the oil within North America, which is also more geopolitically secure in a turbulent world? Is Canadian oil worse? Is getting oil out, particularly of the oil sands, worse for the environment, somehow either the process of extracting it or the oil itself than, let us say, oil from Venezuela? You'd have to make a very strong case for that before it would still be rational to shut down our own oil industry insofar as possible and bring the oil from abroad. But far more likely, all you do is divert the oil from pipelines that aren't getting built to trains that are needed for other purposes. So that's why Energy East is the answer, because we are moving oil around. We're moving oil around in Canada, and until we find another energy source, it's essential that we should do so, and pipelines are the best way to do it. Modern pipelines are engineering marvels. They're extremely sophisticated, they're very concerned about the impact on the environment, and they've got it right. Canadians are not fools. It's not like we can't build a pipeline properly if we put our minds to it. So the thing we must do is put our minds to building pipelines because they are the right answer to the actual question, which is how are we going to move oil around inside this country for all those good things that oil does for us.